Welcome. All right. Okay. Welcome to the International Youth Day celebration and the 31st AFS Youth Assembly, organized by AFS Intercultural Programs and the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and delegates, thank you for being here today, and a warm welcome to those joining virtually from around the world. My name is Yumna Khan, and I am the Director of the Youth Assembly and Strategic Youth Initiatives at AFS Intercultural Programs. The theme of this year's International Youth Day, Different Contexts, Common Aspirations, reminds us that while young people's experiences are shaped by very different realities, their aspirations for dignity, opportunity, participation, peace, and a sustainable future are remarkably universal. At the same time, young people in least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states often face particularly significant barriers, from access to quality education and decent work, to digital connectivity, climate resilience, and a meaningful participation in decision-making. These challenges are reflected in global commitments, including the Pact for the Future, the UN Digital Compact, and the programs of action for LDCs, LLDCs, and SIDS. Together, they recognize the importance of investing in young people, not only as beneficiaries of sustainable development, but as essential partners in shaping and delivering it. And that is what we hope to explore today. This high-level segment brings together young people, governments, the United Nations, civil society, and the private sector to discuss how we can turn commitments into action, strengthen investments in youth, and create greater opportunities for young people to have a meaningful voice in the decisions that shape their future. We will also hear about youth-led solutions that are already driving positive change. Because young people are not simply preparing for the future, they are already shaping it. So, as we begin, I invite us to consider one key question. How can we ensure that despite our different contexts, young people everywhere have the opportunities, resources, and voice to turn their common aspirations into reality? We also want to hear from you, so you can scan the QR code, which will be shown on the screen, share your ideas, perspectives, and we will highlight some of those during the session. So with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Daniel Obst, President and CEO of AFS Intercultural Programs, for his opening remarks. Please welcome.
Bonjour, good afternoon. It's so great to welcome you all to this 2026 celebration of International Youth Day here at the World Health Organization. And I have to say, if you stand at this podium, from my perspective, you see 700 young people from 80 countries around the world. It's a pretty amazing sight. So can I hear a round of applause for all of us here? So, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, delegates, and everybody watching on the live stream, good afternoon and welcome. This also represents not just the celebration of International Youth Day, but the opening of the 31st session of the AFS Youth Assembly. And I want to say that this wouldn't be possible without the incredible partnership with UNITAR, the UN Institute for Training and Research. Rabi, it's been a real amazing pleasure to work with your team. And if we talk about partnerships, right, this is all about how can we work together. Working together with a partner like UNITAR has been a dream. So thank you so much for being here with us. So before we really begin, I want to ask a question. What do a young climate activist from a small island nation, a young educator working to rebuild their community after conflict, and a young volunteer welcoming an exchange student into their home have in common? At first glance, probably quite little. They live in different contexts, they speak different languages, they face different opportunities and also very different challenges. But if we look closely, we see that they all aspire to the same things: to belong, to contribute, to be heard, and to build a future that is more sustainable, more just, and more peaceful than the world that they inherited. And that is exactly why this year's theme of the International Youth Day celebration is so appropriate. It's different contexts, common aspirations. It reminds us that while our experiences may differ, our hopes are shared. For more than a century, AFS has believed that peace begins not necessarily with agreements between governments, but with understanding between people. Our founders, who were volunteer ambulance drivers with the American Field Service, crossed battlefields to save lives. Today, AFS crosses cultures to change lives. Every exchange student, every volunteer, every host family, every educator becomes a part of a simple but really transformative idea. When we truly know one another, fear gives way to trust, stereotypes give way to empathy, and strangers become friends. And that is at the heart of intercultural learning, what AFS is all about. And that is exactly what the world needs right now. The challenges that are before us, whether it's natural disasters, inequality, war, technological disruption, they don't stop at national borders, nor can the solutions. And the future and the now belongs to young people who are not only innovative, but compassionate, who are not only digitally connected, but connected on a deep human level. Leaders who can collaborate across differences because they understand that diversity is not an obstacle to progress, diversity is the source of progress. So to the extraordinary young leaders that are gathered here from all around the world, you are not here simply because you represent your country. You are here because you represent possibility. So every conversation that you have this week, every friendship you build, every idea you exchange is an investment in a future where cooperation is stronger than division and where curiosity is stronger than fear. The United Nations was founded on the belief that nations could work together for peace. AFS was founded on the belief that people could work together for peace. And together, those two ideas are more important than ever. So as we begin this 31st session of the AFS Youth Assembly, I invite each of you to embrace both your unique story and your shared purpose. The future is not something that's waiting for us. It's something we create through our choices we make, through the bridges we build, and the courage to see one another not as strangers, but as friends. And that's why I believe that the theme for this year's Youth Assembly says it perfectly. Let's rise, reimagine, rebuild a world for all. Thank you very much. And it's now my great honor to introduce Rabi El Hadid. He's the director of the Division of Multilateral Diplomacy at UNITAR, the UN Institute for Training and Research, and like me is now very recently a fellow resident of New York City. So welcome to New York, but we're in Geneva. Okay.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much, Daniel, and thank you for the colleagues from AFS. We cherish this partnership, and we discussed yesterday avenues to make it bigger and more sustainable on the long term, and we will happen it because, such a gathering needs to be taken, into notice. This is number one. Now, yes, I am in New York, but I'm still coming to Geneva. I was telling Her Excellency, the German ambassador, that I started here, I stayed here 28 years. And this is when I understood what Geneva International and the spirit of Geneva is about. And now I'm settling in slowly in New York, and I hope that you come and pay me a visit so that you give me some advice. Okay, the topic today, if I understood, so the general theme is about diversity, right? Differences, and also the common purpose that unites us. So we are all different. Look at us in this room, you realize it. The minute you look at the person sitting next to you, we all come from different backgrounds, different languages. We have north, south, east, west, people who are coming from developing countries, industrialized, people who are coming from war-torn countries. I just saw here our colleague who was introduced to me, the Syrian, Muhammad. So we have people coming from all over the world, and we have people who are coming from the same city, but they still manage to be different. from the same family, because we have different mindsets as human beings. This is who we are as human beings. Now, of course, if you are going to ask the skeptics and those who don't believe in the values of the United Nations, they will tell you, well, this difference is an indicator that these people in Geneva are building the Babel Tower, right? People who don't speak the same language, they come here, they meet, blah, blah, they come up with some documents and they go back home and that's it. Well, there is something that they are missing. I think the second part of this conference, the main theme, is what binds us together. So what binds us together is what? Is a set of values that are at the substructure of the work of the United Nations. For example, human dignity, the respect for fundamental human rights, and the human person. Okay, don't take it for granted. This was the fruit of a lot of effort that took hundreds of years, and you have the proof, the First World War and Second World War, what happened here on European soil, as a testimony to the absence of these fundamental human rights. This is number one. But beyond this, if you read the article, the first article of the Charter of the United Nations, the first article highlights the purpose of the organization. What's the purpose of the organization? The three main purposes. The maintenance of international peace and security, developing friendly relations amongst nations, and the third one is developing international cooperation in view of overcoming global challenges. Okay, let's take each one of those. You know, the maintenance of international peace and security. It will be a huge mistake to think that the maintenance of international peace and security is the exclusivity of the diplomats representing your countries. They have to intervene, and they do an excellent job, when preventive diplomacy fails. And the price they have to pay is 208 times more expensive to manage a conflict after having failed preventing it from happening. And this is a science-based study. So, how do you prevent conflicts? It's you in this room, right? Each one of you. If you integrate yourself and you find peace within yourself and you shine that through your community, through your family, through your nation, and then through the whole community that binds you, maybe everyone here in this room, if you create a network, you develop a democratic culture. And we all know that democracies don't fight one another, right? And this is a fact also. So if you start with yourself and you go to the community and to the nation and then to the region where you are based, you can create a democratic culture that prevents wars from happening. Number two, developing friendly relations amongst nations. What better than this meeting right now here? If you are going to wait for the president of your republic to come and meet the president of the second republic or nation or whatever it is, and then top-bottom approach, they sign a deal on developing friendly relations amongst nations, this is going to be nice on paper, good, we respect that. But the real thing is grassroots. It's you in this room, right? This is how you can initiate an NGO, maybe a foundation, a think tank, and invite the people who you are going to meet here to be part of this in the future, a future project that crosses the boundaries of your nation and your person. The third element is what we said, achieving international cooperation and to overcome global challenges. Let's take climate change. Do you really think that the states, all the states in the world, have the funding and the political will to overcome global challenges without the grassroots, without civil society, without NGOs, without you? It's not going to happen. Those who are going to do it is you in this room and each one of us. So if you are going to wait for ECOSOC under Article 57 and 63 of the Charter to coordinate the work of these specialized agencies, you are going to wait a long time. So you have to act, which brings me to the concluding remarks. The essence of the message I'm sending you is this. The United Nations is overworked right now. We are underfunded, and this is a fact. UN80 is sometimes, an indicator of the organization's limited capacities. But you have these capacities within you, and you can augment and multiply the work of the United Nations by reinforcing the purpose of the organization and by making sure that whatever we do here has a meaning for you on a personal level in your community and in your nation. Thank you, and good luck.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Haddad and UNITAR, for your incredible support and collaboration this year. And now I would like to introduce Her Excellency Mrs. Nicola Gilhoff, Deputy Permanent Representative from the Permanent Mission of the Federal Republic of Germany to the United Nations Office in Geneva. Please welcome her.
Dear Ms. Khan, dear Mr. Obst, dear Mr. El-Haddad, and especially to all of you here, the delegates of the 31st AFS Youth Assembly. You traveled here to Geneva for this year's event, and I would like to extend a special and warm welcome to all of you. It is really inspiring to see so many young people from so many different countries and backgrounds come together here with a shared purpose, contributing to a more peaceful, equitable and sustainable future. And it was so great just now entering the room here and feeling all this energy which you produce here, talking to each other, exchanging ideas already. And that reminds me, in this room, I think it was a year ago that we sat here with the members of the countries negotiating the pandemic treaty. And it was exactly here, 4 o'clock in the morning, that we agreed on the treaty. There's still an annex to be negotiated, but it was here, so this is really the room where the work takes place, where we negotiate, where we agree on things, where we discuss, where we... and that is the energy you produce now here as well, so thank you, and it's exactly this spirit in which it works here in Geneva. But first, let me thank you also, AFS and UNITAR, for organizing this event and bringing together these wonderful young leaders from all over the world. Thank you. Germany is proud to be a long-standing partner of and participant in both organizations, UNITAR as well as AFS, as evidenced in the fact that our desk officer for UNITAR here at the Geneva mission, Mr. Moritz Seiler, who is also here with me today, is an AFS alumni, who enjoyed a year with the AFS in Hong Kong. On a slightly more serious note, as UNITAR's largest donor, Germany greatly values UNITAR's efforts to promote peaceful and inclusive societies, sustainable development, and effective multilateral cooperation around the world. We are equally proud of Germany's long-standing collaboration with AFS, and those who work in equipping young people with the necessary knowledge, skills and competencies to build more just and sustainable communities is of enormous value, not just to us in the form of our desk officer, Moritz Seiler, but throughout the world in so many different functions. Though through initiatives such as the Weltwärts Development Volunteer Service, Germany and AFS enable young people to engage across cultures and contribute to expanding access to quality education and climate resilience in the Global South. This year's theme of the International Youth Day, Different Contexts, Common Aspirations, could hardly be more suitable. It recognizes that while we all experience diverse national and local realities in our lives, may be fundamentally different, we are all united by remarkably similar aspirations: the desire to live in peace, to protect our planet, and the hope for a better and sustainable future. In this context, it is crucial to acknowledge that we are at the crossroads. We are meeting at a time when the entire international community is facing a wave of crises. Wars, like Russia's illegal and unprovoked war of aggression against Ukraine, continue to undermine peace and cause immense human suffering, as do the numerous conflicts in the Middle East. In this context, we also see severe disruptions of supply chains and the global economy bringing increased hardship and suffering for communities all over the world. At the same time, climate change accelerates, posing an existential threat with effects felt everywhere. The record temperatures experienced here in Geneva and across Europe this summer, as well as the devastating wildfires in France and Italy, Greece and Canada, are just one clear illustration of this threat. These crises all have one thing in common, however. They are global in their ramifications and consequences. This is precisely why they cannot be solved by individual states alone. In fact, no country, no matter how large or influential, can resolve crises alone anymore. Therefore, Germany remains deeply committed to preserving the multilateral framework, and it is the only way to accelerate collective action towards a more sustainable and peaceful future. To us, cooperation means collaborating within international organizations. It means settling divergent opinions at the negotiating table instead of walking away from it. It means talking to one another despite our different interests, or should I say precisely because of our different interests. This is exactly why Germany, for example, together with Namibia, engaged as co-facilitators of the historical Pact for the Future, with the clear aim of strengthening and modernizing the multilateral system. There is hardly any better place to reflect on multilateralism than Geneva. Every day, representatives from governments, international organizations, civil society, academia, and the private sector convene here to address the challenges that no nation can solve on its own. Geneva reminds us that dialogue is not always easy, but it is always worth pursuing. All the great organizations that are based here in Geneva strongly depend on people who believe in cooperation, embrace multilateralism, drive innovation, and translate shared aspirations into concrete outcomes. This brings me back to you, dear delegates. You are not merely the leaders of tomorrow, you already have a crucial impact on today's world. Despite facing persistent challenges, young people like yourselves continue to demonstrate resilience, leadership, and drive innovation across every region, particularly in the LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS. Through your ideas, commitment, and willingness to engage across cultures and communities, you play a key role in shaping more resilient and sustainable societies. Germany proudly acts on this, for example, by funding the ASA program, enabling young people to collaborate with NGOs and startups on projects to promote sustainable development and climate protection in developing countries. We also support UNDP's Global Youth for Climate initiative, empowering young climate innovators in LDCs, LLDCs, and SIDS to implement their green solutions and climate projects at scale. The conversations you'll have in the upcoming days, the connections you forge, and the initiatives you launch can have an impact far beyond this event. On this note, I wish you an inspiring and productive Youth Assembly. May the discussions you begin here in Geneva help strengthen the multilateral system and lead to a more peaceful, equitable, and sustainable future for us all. To achieve this, we need your ideas, your courage, and your determination. Because multilateralism is only as strong as the people who believe in it and are willing to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mrs. Gilhoff, and the permanent mission of Germany to the UN. We truly appreciate you joining us today. It might not be 4 a.m., but it's about to be 4 p.m., so it's pretty cool. All right, now I would like to welcome Dr. Felipe Paulier, Assistant Secretary General for Youth Affairs and the United Nations Youth Office, for his video remarks.
Hello, hola, bonjour, ni hao. Assalamu alaikum, privyet. Happy International Youth Day. I'm Felipe Paulier, the United Nations Assistant Secretary General for Youth Affairs and head of the United Nations Youth Office, and I'm very excited to join you in celebrating this moment dedicated to young people everywhere. This year's International Youth Day reminds us of a simple but powerful truth. While young people grow up in different contexts, our aspirations are similar. No matter where you live, you're striving for opportunity, for dignity, and for the chance to build a better future for yourselves, your communities, and our world. At a time marked by rapid technological change, growing inequalities, conflict, and climate challenges, the world needs your leadership more than ever. And the good news is that young people are already leading. Across every region, young people are driving innovation, advancing peace, and finding solutions to some of the world's most pressing challenges. You're not waiting for change to happen. You are making it to happen. Our responsibility is to ensure that every young person has the opportunity to thrive and to lead, including in the workforce. According to the World Bank, over the next decade, around 1.2 billion young people in emerging market and developing economies are expected to enter the labor market. But yet, only around 420 million jobs are projected to be created. This means that preparing for the future is not only about creating more opportunities, but it is also about ensuring that young people have the skills to seize them. And that is why this International Youth Day, the United Nations Youth Office is highlighting the importance of future-ready skills. Yes, digital literacy and AI skills are becoming increasingly essential. But in an age of artificial intelligence, it is our human skills that become even more valuable. Critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, empathy, ethical judgment, intercultural understanding, and resilience. These are the skills that help young people not only to adapt to change, but to shape it responsibly and with purpose. At the same time, we must recognize that access to opportunities is not always equal. Too many young people continue to face barriers because of where they live, who they are, or the circumstances they were born into. If we are serious about leaving no one behind, then every young person must have equitable access to quality education, to lifelong learning, digital connectivity, and opportunities to build the skills they need to succeed. And young people must not only benefit from these systems, they must help to design them, because meaningful youth participation leads to better decisions, to stronger institutions, and to more inclusive societies. So today, I invite governments, educators, employers, communities, and young people themselves to work together, to invest in future-ready skills, and to create opportunities where every young person can learn, can lead, and can contribute. Together we can build a future that is more inclusive, more resilient, and more human-centered. So thank you for your leadership, for your courage, and for your determination to shape a better world. Happy International Youth Day.
Thank you, Dr. Pollier, for your unwavering dedication to empowering young people everywhere. We truly appreciate your continued commitment. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Annika Florin, Acting Head of Youth, Education, Research and Culture Unit at the European Commission Directorate General for the International Partnerships, for her video remarks. Please welcome her.
Let me first start by wishing you all a very happy International Youth Day. What better way to mark this occasion than by bringing together young leaders from across the world to exchange ideas, build connections, and take action for a more inclusive and sustainable future. My name is Annika Florin, and I'm the Acting Head of Unit responsible for Youth, Education, Research and Culture at the European Commission's Directorate General for International Partnerships. It's a real pleasure to greet you all in this year's AFS Youth Assembly. This year's theme, Rise, Reimagine, Rebuild a World for All, strongly resonates with the EU's partnership with young people around the world. And let me tell you how. At the EU, we want to make sure that everything we do is youth-approved and takes into account youth voices, aspirations, and talents. And this has guided us in the development and adoption of our Youth Action Plan in EU External Action. This is the first ever policy framework for a strategic partnership with young people around the world. It's structured along 3 pillars: engage, empower, and connect. We are now supporting its implementation through several flagship initiatives. One initiative is called WIDE, Women and Youth Democratic Engagement. It's dedicated to enhancing the participation of young people and women in democratic processes. When we listen to young people, they ask not only to be heard, but to have access to funding to drive sustainable change in their communities. This is the purpose of our Youth Empowerment Fund. And in the first 2 years of implementation, this fund has already provided funding to some 2,000 youth-led initiatives across the globe. Alongside participation and empowerment, connecting young people is equally important. Our 50 million euro flagship, the Africa-Europe Youth Academy, supports young people in developing leadership skills, learning and building networks through a leadership program in 20 African countries. and the Erasmus Plus program provides mobility opportunities in this context. Youth is also part of our key strategy in external actions, the Global Gateway. This is the EU's plan to invest in better internet, energy, transport, health and education projects around the world, helping countries grow in a sustainable way. It aims to build strong partnerships by offering high-quality investments that create opportunities for people while supporting a greener and more connected future. And by strengthening the socio-economic impact of Global Gateway investments, our Youth Action Plan also supports its implementation. Culture is an important part of this broader approach. Through the new Culture Compass for Europe, the EU is placing culture at the heart of its project and recognizing its role in fostering dialogue, inclusion, and opportunities for young people, including in our international partnerships. Likewise, our Youth Action Plan was directly co-created with our Global Youth Sounding Board, our way to consult young people. This is an advisory group of young people who provide recommendations to the EU Directorate General for International Partnership across thematic areas. This diversity of perspectives brought forward through the Global Youth Sounding Board very much reflects the spirit of this year's theme for the International Youth Day, different contexts, common aspirations. Young people's circumstances vary considerably depending on their country and community. And yet, when we listen closely to your aspirations, we hear common goals across regions, opportunity, peace, and a sustainable future. This is also why we now have 50 local youth sounding boards attached to EU delegations around the world. They advise EU delegations and help us understand young people's priorities in different contexts. So the European Union remains committed to working alongside young people worldwide to help build a world that is more equal, peaceful, resilient, and sustainable. I wish you a very successful and inspiring AFS Youth Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Florin, and for the support of your team at the European Commission for making that possible. And also, I'd like to call upon you all to everything that Ms. Florin has just discussed and making sure that it's youth approved. So we have the next 2 days to make sure we can be aligned with that. Next, I'd like to really introduce and have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Sheila Kulubya, the External Affairs Officer at the Multilateral Affairs Branch at the World Bank. Please welcome her.
Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you so much for the invitation to join and to be part of this very energizing International Youth Day. I bring you warm greetings from the World Bank Group. It's really an honor to be part of this. I just wanted to start with a story. I'm a storyteller. I worked in the media for 8 years, so I really like to tell stories. So imagine a young girl called Stella. She dreams of working for the UN or the World Bank Group. She's curious and ambitious, but she's poor or comes from a poor family and also struggles to read a simple text written for her age. Sadly, she's not alone. Today, more than 2/3 of 10-year-olds in low and middle-income countries cannot read and understand an age-appropriate text. That means millions of children are being left behind before they even have a chance to compete for the jobs of the future. And the future is coming fast, really fast. As you heard earlier, over the next decade, 1.2 billion young people in emerging economies will enter the workforce, but there are only 420 available jobs. Many of you are part of this generation. You will live and work in a world transformed by artificial intelligence, digital technologies, and the transition to a greener economy. The opportunities are enormous. But there's one big question. Will every young person have the skills and the opportunities to seize these opportunities? And the answer today is still no. Too many young people finish school without the skills employers need. Too many workers are unable to continue learning as technology changes, and too many talented young people are disconnected from opportunities. Yet, I and many others remain optimistic. You ask me why? Because talent is everywhere. What is missing is opportunity. At the World Bank Group, we believe that every young person deserves access to quality education, relevant skills, and a pathway to meaningful work. And that is why jobs are at the heart of our education and skills agenda. You may have heard that jobs is now our North Star, from our senior management. We are very serious about that. Because a quality job does more than provide an income. It creates dignity, it reduces poverty, it strengthens communities, and it gives people the chance to shape their own futures. So what needs to happen? First, at the World Bank Group, we are ensuring that every child builds strong foundational skills from an early age. Second, we are working to improve learning so that being in school actually leads to learning. Third, we need to better connect education and training to the needs of employers and the realities of the labor market. Fourth, we must prepare young people for growing sectors such as clean energy, infrastructure, agribusiness, tourism, healthcare, and value-added manufacturing. And finally, we need to make lifelong learning possible so that people can continue building new skills throughout their careers. This is not something governments can do alone. It requires partnerships between the public and the private sectors, educators, employers, development partners, and importantly, young people themselves, you yourselves. The World Bank Group already supports education programs that reach more than 325 million learners. But we know that we must do more. Our ambition is to help millions more people gain the education and skills they need by 2030. Let me leave you with one final thought. As you may have heard also from previous speakers, because they've said this before, young people are not just preparing for the future, you are creating it. You are the entrepreneurs, you are the innovators, you are the workers, you are the leaders who will solve challenges that my generation has not yet solved. Our responsibility as the World Bank Group and many partners who are sitting here today, who've already spoken and yet to speak, is to help open the doors of opportunity. Your responsibility as young people is to walk through them, and when you can, hold those doors open for others. Yes, you do need to pay it forward, always. Why? Because talent is everywhere. Opportunity should be too. Remember that young girl that I mentioned at the beginning of my story? Stella? That girl is and was me. If I could find my way, then so can you. Impossible is nothing. I wish you a successful deliberation and a happy International Youth Day.
That was a really, really incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Kulubuya. And really, talent is everywhere. Just look around you in this room. Feel the passion and the energy that's within this room right now, and you can really see what is possible through your talent. For the next 2 days, let's find new ways, new opportunities through the Youth Assembly platform. Okay, thank you again. All right, next I have the honor of introducing Ms. Corinne Momol-Vanyan, former United Nations senior official and the executive director at the Kofi Annan Foundation. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Yumna, and thank you, Daniel and Rabbi, for having me. I suppose I should say Happy International Youth Day. Well, I'm not in a mood to celebrate, so I'm going to be a little bit of what they call a party pooper. This is not a good moment. This is a difficult moment. Wars are multiplying, and I come from a generation that maybe we thought a bit naively that war was behind us. But conflict is back with a vengeance. Trust in democratic institutions is declining. Climate change is accelerating. This kind of summer that we're having here in Geneva, I've been in Geneva for over 20 years. We never used to have this kind of weather. Artificial intelligence is transforming our societies faster than our rules can keep up. International cooperation is under enormous strain. Many people say multilateralism is failing or has failed. They say that the UN and other organizations of international cooperation are no longer fit for purpose, especially populist governments. And so governments are decreasing their aid cooperation. Funds for international corporations are drying up. Many UN agencies, including in Geneva, are closing, merging. People are losing their jobs. But I don't believe that this is a budgetary crisis. It's not. It's first a crisis of legitimacy, of trust, of leadership, of effectiveness. It's a crisis of values, and thank you, Rabbi, for reminding us that this organization is based on values. The values that sustain international cooperation: dignity, solidarity, cooperation, respect. The institutions can be reformed. Yes, the Secretary General has promised a big reform, UN 80. I've been through UN 50, UN 60, UN 70, so I'm not impressed by UN 80. Institutions can be reformed. What is harder to rebuild is the trust, the confidence that these institutions truly represent people and that they deliver for them. And international cooperation has delivered extraordinary things. I mean, this organization that is hosting our meeting today, the World Health Organization, has managed to deliver the world, mankind, from smallpox, terrible disease. We have recovered the ozone layer. When I was growing up, people were very worried about the ozone layer. You probably don't even hear about it anymore because now it's been recovered. The UN has managed decolonization. It has really, including with the help of the World Bank, really provided access to girls' education. That has made tremendous improvement over the last 20 years. And there are many, many other achievements that we don't even hear about. The rights of people. I mean, in this city, for instance, across the street, there's an organization called the International Labour Organization. It has provided protection to domestic workers who were the forgotten workers of this planet, to fishermen. So there have been so many achievements, concrete progress for men and women around the world. And surveys show that people all over the world understand this and that they support international cooperation. They do not think that, they do not reject multilateralism, but they think increasingly that multilateralism has rejected them. That that the organizations do not represent the interest of most people around the world. Just as at the national level, it's not that people reject democracy. We know that democracy is in decline. People want more democracy, not less, but they feel that democratic institutions and leaders have failed them, have not represented their interest. And young people probably represent this gap better than anyone. As we know, half of the population is under the age of 30, half of the world's population another organization based here in Geneva, the Interparliamentary Union, produces every year statistics about the number of parliamentarians and their age group and their gender group. Well, it turns out only 3% of parliamentarians around the world. So parliamentarians are the people who represent their constituencies. Only 3% are younger than 30. And within the UN system itself, and I'm very proud because I'm the first one who had calculated the statistics, but one of the candidates to become Secretary General of the UN has cited it, so I'm quite proud. Less than 4% of people working inside the system are younger than 30. So there is a disconnect here, obviously. How can these organizations be seen as legitimate if they don't look like half of the world population? And the youngsters, of course, are the ones who are going to live with the decisions taken or not taken by these institutions. I have seen over the course of the last few years a big effort, including by our current Secretary General, to increase the participation of young people. So you're invited to youth summits, that's great. There have been efforts to facilitate your storytelling. Sheila was telling us about storytelling. So young people come, they tell their stories. But unfortunately, they still don't participate in the decision making, which at the end of the day is what matters. And we haven't found a way to make it happen. And as a result, there are surveys that show, and there was a very interesting survey done by UNICEF 2 years ago, I think, 3 years ago, that show that young people overwhelmingly think that their participation in the multilateral system is tokenistic. And it's difficult to tell them that they're wrong. 81% perceive youth participation in the multilateral system as tokenistic. 90% find engagement insufficiently inclusive. 94% report inadequate preparation and follow-up. So we must really move beyond tokenism towards genuine partnership. And meaningful participation requires a lot of things. It requires transparent selection process. Who comes to supposedly represent the young people? How are they selected? Where do they come from? Full financial support, otherwise we know that it's going to be completely skewed. Mentorship and preparation, and kudos to AFS to do exactly that. Safe and safeguarded spaces, clear pathways to influence. So this is not about ad hoc invitations to large events. This is really about institutional design of youth participation. And it's very difficult, and this hasn't been cracked yet, very frankly. And it's very frustrating to me because I've seen, for the last 6 years, I was the head of the Kofi Annan Foundation, also based here in Geneva, and I've met extraordinary young people. We work a lot, the foundation works a lot with young people. One of them, my colleague here, is Mohammed, who will speak later. It's wonderful to see you here, Mohammed. Around the world, young people are building peace in divided communities, creating businesses, devising technological solutions to improve health outcomes, to improve food security. They're advancing climate solutions, they're fighting misinformation, strengthening their societies. And look, for instance, at the recent movement in India, the Cockroach Party. That was amazing. That was an amazing movement. So, and I learned one important thing. I'm sorry, Yumna, if I'm going on too long. It's just a few more minutes. I learned one important thing when working with young people. We do not need to teach them to be leaders. They are leaders. They just need institutions willing to let them lead. And the real question for me is therefore, one, whether spaces will open up for you to lead, and two, what kind of leaders you want to be. The world does not need loud leaders. We have enough of them. The world needs ethical leaders, leaders who have the humility to listen and the courage to act. And for me, Kofi Annan, who was the 7th Secretary General of the UN, for me, it was best, of course, But he embodied really this kind of leadership. He understood that lasting solutions are built with others, not imposed upon them. And when I worked with him and I traveled the world with him, young people, I mean, he had an amazing connection with young people because he just believed that their creativity and their refusal to accept the status quo were assets that the world could not afford to waste. So he always listened to them. And one of his quotes has stayed with me throughout my career because it illustrates a great leadership quality that he had, which was optimism. The conviction that all of us can make a difference. The conviction, sometimes I thought, but why is he doing all these things? How, you know, the problems are so difficult. How can we solve them? He always thought that each of us can solve a problem, not all the problems, but a problem around us in our communities. And this is what he always said. He said, and I quote, "You should never doubt your capacity to triumph where others have failed." And history advances because each generation sees possibilities that were not seen by the previous generation. So I really want to leave you just with two main messages today. One, please lead with courage and for others. Do not imitate the leadership that has brought us to this very bad moment. Create a different model. Two, multilateralism will not be saved by defending institutions, old institutions. It will be saved by opening them radically to new voices and energies and new ideas. And be realist, but don't be pessimist. Although I started by saying I'm a party pooper, I didn't want to celebrate, I'm always ready to celebrate. I love a good celebration. So happy International Youth Day. And I hope you have a very, very productive AFS Assembly.
Thank you so much, Ms. Momo-Vanyan, for your inspiring remarks. I think you can feel that in the room. And you definitely were not a party pooper. It was really an important message and a reminder for all of us as young people in this room that the responsibility we have moving forward to make our world a better place. So now I would like to move on to our next speaker, and I call upon Ms. Mashael Al-Zoghaibi, Executive Director of Global Engagements and Innovation Platforms at the Mohammed bin Salman Foundation, MISC, for her special announcement. Please welcome her.
Bring this a little down. Distinguished guests, our colleagues from AFS, and thank you for having us. United Nations, our partners, and the young people and youth here in Geneva or joining us from anywhere around the world. Happy International Youth Day. This year's theme, Different Context, Common Aspirations, captures something that we have repeatedly learned through our years working with youth. From Riyadh to Geneva, Lagos to Jakarta, young people and youth may have grown up in different circumstances and different environments, but their ambition is remarkably similar. They want meaningful opportunity, they want their voices to matter, and increasingly, they want to be part of shaping the future that they will live in. So what differs is not their ambition, but what differs is access. Access to the right opportunities, access to the right institutions, access to the right people, and access to the rooms where these decisions are being made. At MISC Foundation, we have been taking on this challenge 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we started the foundation and built an integrated ecosystem developing young people across education, entrepreneurship, innovation, culture, and more, building different pathways for youth to build their capabilities and turn their ideas into action, and to help shape the future of Saudi and the world. Through our programs, our initiatives, our flagship platforms, millions of youth have benefited from this ecosystem across their development journey. But perhaps the most important thing we have learned in those years is that the opportunity becomes exponentially more powerful when institutions work together. Not a single organization, regardless of its reach, has every opportunity. And not a single institution has all relationships. And not a single platform can open every door. But collectively, we become much closer. And that is the idea behind what we are announcing today. Together with the United Nations Youth Office, MISC Foundation is proud to announce the Global Network for Youth. This network is designed to connect some of the most influential and impactful and powerful youth-serving organizations into one coordinated global community. And this is not simply to connect organizations to each other, but to connect their capability, their opportunities, their knowledge, and their networks, and ultimately put opportunities in the hands of hundreds or thousands of youth. Think about how collectively the impact of some of the institutions such as AFS, One Young World, and others. Between them, they have benefited hundreds of thousands of youth across hundreds of countries. Now imagine what becomes possible when institutions of that scale stop operating on parallel effort and start connecting their capabilities, their opportunities, and their access. This is the potential of the global network for youth: to consolidate effort and to maximize access, and to bring the right institutions, the right people, the right tools into one room, with one purpose: putting youth at the forefront of the opportunity. Because the network is not being created simply just to create another community of organizations, but it's being built to make sure that the journey for youth, from their ambition to the opportunity, much shorter. Through this network, youth can gain greater access to platforms, to global forums, access to policymakers. They can strengthen their policy literacy and contribute meaningfully into decision-making. And also they can get access to fellowships, programs, development opportunities, and networks that otherwise have remained disconnected from each other. On the other hand, institutions within that network can work together to identify gaps, consolidate effort and resources, and create opportunities at scale that none of us could achieve working independently. Our ambition within that network is to ultimately benefit thousands of youth around the world. But this number becomes only meaningful if it shows that youth have access. For MISC Foundation, this is the natural next chapter for a journey that began in Saudi Arabia, but always looked forward. For years, we have worked to connect Saudi youth with global opportunities and to ensure that youth have a seat in the global conversations, in global forums, and access to policymakers. And our partnership with the UN Youth Office on a youth empowerment agenda is not new. Since 2018, MISC Foundation became a pioneering strategic partner supporting the UN Global Agenda on Youth, with initiatives intended to reach and mobilize young people around the world. So today, we're just taking this commitment one step further, from creating the opportunities ourselves to connecting institutions that can create them, from giving youth access to individual platforms to building a global infrastructure through which opportunities can flow more systematically, and from inviting youth to individual conversations and to help ensuring that youth participation is embedded in institutions and processes that shape their future. And to the young and youth around this room and joining us from all around the world. The time we're in is changing faster than any other generation have ever faced. Technology is transforming work, economies are changing, global challenges are becoming more interconnected, and the decisions around those areas and in taking in different rooms is going to impact your future for decades. And you should not have spent years trying to find those doors. Our job is to connect you to those doors, to make sure that the distance between your ambition and the people or institutions or those rooms to realize that ambition is much shorter. And most importantly, to ensure that when decisions about your future is being made, that you are not simply the subject of the conversation, but you are part of it. And this is what the Global Network for Youth is being built to do. Today, here in Geneva, on International Youth Day, we're proud to announce the Global Network for Youth. This is only the beginning, and we'll continue this conversation in New York during the General Assembly of the United Nations to formally launch the network and expand the community of institutions who have a commit to this mission. So different context, common aspiration. But stronger collective effort now to turn those aspirations into opportunities and access. So happy International Youth Day. And now I would like to leave you with a glimpse of what this network for youth is being built to make possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Al-Ghazabi, for your remarks and the work that you're doing, and also for inviting AFS as a member of the network. I have been looking at some comments and remarks coming into our chat that we have open for everyone. So I just want to include one person who's watching us from Melbourne, Australia. They say they can feel the power of AFS and the 700 young leaders from around the world. Young people are not just preparing for the future, you are creating it. So give your hand, right hand. So thank you everyone who's also joining us online. All right, so now I want to thank Your Excellencies for joining us as speakers for today's celebration. I would like to request for you all to now be seated in the audience. Thank you. Okay, and now we will turn to the second part of this event, hearing from the incredible youth leaders who are joined us. As shared by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, young people are already leading the way as organizers and innovators. But to go further, they need access to skills that will help shape the future, from critical thinking and problem solving to digital literacy. So for this part of this program, I would like to invite Ilan Enverga, who is the founder at the Global Changemaker Schools and a global focal point for education at the UN Major Group for Children and Youth, MGCY. Welcome, Ilan.
Thank you, Yumna. And I would like to give a gift to everyone. If you'd like to stand up really just for 1 second and stretch your legs, go ahead. You're welcome. All right, take your seats when you're ready. Thank you. When you're ready, everyone, kindly take your seats again. All right, please give yourselves a round of applause for making it. this far. This is an International Youth Day celebration after all. As a young generation, we care about our well-being very much. And we'd like to model that through these discussions. Again, thank you, Yumna. Thank you to our previous panel of speakers. And thank you again to AFS Intercultural Programs and UNITAR for bringing us all together to celebrate International Youth Day. And I would like first to greet everyone a good afternoon. It was a test. I am a teacher, for those who don't know, and I am very much attuned to a response. So one more time, good afternoon. There we go. And since we have a beautiful and rich, diverse group of people here today, why don't we enjoy the diverse beauty of all of our languages? If you could just turn to the person beside you and say good afternoon or good day in your mother tongue or your own language. Go ahead. Wonderful. All right, if you can hear me, please give yourselves a round of applause again. All right, we'll count it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you can hear me, can you raise your hand? All right, one more time. If you can hear me, can you raise your hand? All right, we're all going to find our quiet again in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Teacher, yes? Yes? Okay. All right, so again, good day everyone, good afternoon. My name is Ilan Enverga. Today I'm wearing a beige traditional Filipino shirt with the SDGs and brown pants. I'm an educator from the Philippines and founder of Global Changemaker Schools, where we work with educators and education systems to transform collective values through turning relevant and experiential and empowering education. And we also organize the largest intergenerational SDG event in the Philippines. I'm also the global focal point for education at the UNMGCY. And through all these different hats, I've had the privilege of working with young people across different contexts to ask 2 fairly simple questions that align with today's session. First question, and you're welcome to answer this on your own, is how do we make young people not just prepared for the future, but powerful enough to shape the future? And the second question, and I'm very grateful to Executive Director Ms. Korean for raising this already, is how often are young people actually in the room when those decisions are being made? And when we are in the room, are we actually being given power or truly meaningful participation? Because there is a big difference between being in the room and having power. A very big difference. Young people are often, again, described as the leaders of tomorrow, but let's be honest, and I think we can all agree that young people are already very amazing, capable leaders of today. Do we agree, fellow young people? Yes? Okay. And as we speak about young people being the leaders of today, let us please invite our incredible youth speakers to the front. I kindly invite you here. Let's give them a round of applause, please. So they will introduce themselves a little bit better shortly, but we have Oluwadamilola Akintewe, we have Mohammed Shehadat, Nasrin Jafarova, Kalem Hederman, and Max Amanu. One more round of applause for our 5 fellow young leaders. So hopefully you can all understand who we're talking about when it comes to these young leaders who are leading the change that we need today. You know who I'm talking about. You're probably one of them. If you're in this room, they might be sitting next to you. These are the young people who are organizing communities. These are the young people creating new technologies, fighting climate change, defending human rights, building peace, challenging gender inequality, and creating solutions where our institutions today have not moved fast enough. Across the world, young people still continue to face barriers, however, to issues like quality education, decent work, digital access, mental well-being, and meaningful participation in decision-making. But let's be clear, these issues are not isolated youth issues. They're deeply connected to the challenges all generations in our society are already struggling with. The question isn't whether young people have the ideas or the solutions. The question is whether our systems are ready to take young people's ideas and solutions seriously. And this is what we want this conversation to explore today. This year's theme for International Youth Day again is different contexts, common aspirations. And I think this is very important because we're not pretending that every young person experiences the world in the same way, but different realities don't have to divide us. Because underneath these differences, there are, as the theme states, common aspirations. Young people in the room, do we all want dignity? Yes or no? Yes. Do we all want opportunity? Yes. Do we all want to feel safe? Yes. Do we all want to be heard? Yes. Do we all want a positive future? Yes. And do we all want to have a say in what that future looks like? Yes, thank you for your participation, by the way. So today, I want us to do exactly that. Not just talk about young people and youth issues, but actually talk about what young people are already doing and what the rest of us need to do so that these efforts can actually grow to help advance the 2030 Agenda and beyond. And continuing from our amazing high-level speakers in our previous session, I'm incredibly grateful that we have these 5 incredible people here in front who can help us explore these questions. And to introduce them, I'd like to do things a bit differently as opposed to reading their long and very amazing biographies. I will instead ask each of our speakers here in front to finish a sentence. So can you please introduce yourself by completing this sentence? Young people in my community deserve blank. All right, so don't overthinking it, just finish the sentence, and we can go from left to right, if that's okay. So again, young people in my community deserve. So let's start over here.
Hello, everyone. I am Oluwadamilola Akintowe from Nigeria. Young people in my community deserves access to opportunity to thrive and to prosper. I am the founder of Project Rebirth, an organization that provides economic opportunity to women and children in displaced communities across West Africa. I am also proud to be an advocate for women's rights, working on gender justice development. And last year, I received the AFS Young Global Citizen Award. Thank you. And so gratefully serving as a youth advisory council for this year. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Bonjour, guten tag, assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Shahadat. I'm from the Syrian Arab Republic. I was born in Syria, but I never lived in Syria. I learned about Syria during the war and many years of displacement. I'm the founder of the Youth for Peace Initiative, which has been launched and established in Jordan in 2019. It's a refugee youth-led organization working on peace-building activities and also global citizenship education.
Salam, her vaxtınız xeyir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nazrin. It's me, not the person you are seeing on the picture. I'm Nazrin Jafarova. I am youth advocate, Erasmus mobility volunteer, and Azerbaijani diaspora representative based in Estonia. I have worked with a lot of diaspora youth, a lot of mobility students, and during my experience, I have understood that even though we have different backgrounds, we all share the same need to feel that we belong and that our voices matter. So people in my community deserve to be heard, to feel belong, and to have real opportunities to shape the future they will live in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ilan, and everybody for the amazing energy so far. My name is Max Amanu. I am from Uganda. And today I am wearing a white t-shirt and a bluish trouser. And In terms of my affiliation, I work with Changing Life Switzerland as a regional director for Africa, but I'm also co-founder of Northwind Foundation, an organization providing basic practical skills training for underprivileged young people in Uganda. On the highest level, I sit also in the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime as the Youth Advisory Board member on the issues of integrity and anti-corruption. And I'm also proud to be one of the youth council members that advised the CEO and the organizing team of this memorable event so far already. So in terms of what aspirations of the people from Uganda, young people from Uganda, and those of the young people I work from around the world, it pretty much echoes what previous speakers from the opening panel and my other previous colleagues have said. One of it is employment, to have the possibility to earn a living. The other issue which comes often is education, and not just education, quality education which is accessible and affordable, and also the one that can be able to be translated eventually into a job and employment. Thank you for having me.
Hello, friends, or as we say back home, Akorja. I have the honour of leading the largest body of youth organisations in Europe, bringing together over 100 youth organisations and collectively representing in and around 70 million young people across our dear continent. My name is Calum, and in case you can't see me, I'm wearing a cream turtleneck and a dark suit jacket, so I'm really warm sitting up here. And I packed the wrong socks, so if you can see my ankles, I apologise in advance. My name is Calum. I come from the beautiful island of Ireland. As I shared, I'm the president of the European Youth Forum. And for me, I'm going to leave you with a mic drop one to start with. Young people in my community deserve more. And we'll dive into that now. Back to you.
All right, we haven't even started, and I'm excited to hear from everyone. But I think we already have a sense of what drives each of you, and we're really excited to hear more. I'm excited to learn more. I'm going to take some notes, and I invite others in the room to also learn with me. And if you, again, have any questions that you'd like to ask our speakers, if you have any reactions or comments, please remember that we do have that Mentimeter that is live at the moment, and we do have those running through. I can see them right now, and I can see some amazing questions already. And hopefully we'll also have a bit of time later to give the floor to a few of you to ask any specific questions to our speakers later. So please get ready for that. But to begin this first part of our conversation, I'd like to ask this sort of overarching question for all of you. And are we ready? Yes? Yes, we are. I believe you are. So our first question is, what realities are young people facing, and how are young people already responding? And having heard many sessions and dialogues in the past about youth, they often talk about young people through the challenges that young people face. But if we only talk about young people as people who need help, I believe we're missing half the picture. Young people are already responding, as we have affirmed. Young people are organizing, innovating, and leading in these crises. And when societies see youth-led solutions, what do we see? We see tremendous, powerful impact. We see these solutions actually working, and it's because young people have such crystal clear understanding of how life is at the grassroots. So we're able to create these solutions that are actually able to solve these problems. So let's start with this question. Let's start by looking at the realities of young people and that young people are navigating. And just as importantly, what are young people already doing to do something about them? So first of all, can we please start with Mohammed? So Mohammed, we'd like to start with you. And we heard a little bit about where you come from and a bit about what you've been through, but I think we really want to hear more. So Mohammed, I will pass the floor to you.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Alan. let me start by let me focus mainly on the displacement context, as we all of us today sharing different contexts. I was born in Syria, and I grew up in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates with my family. And my family has decided to go back to Syria 1 year before the war started in Syria. That's changed everything, and it's shaping what I'm doing now. I'm who I am today, and I had to move to Jordan, where I spent 10 years of my life as a refugee, and also experienced different contexts, also in asylum in other different countries, in the Netherlands also, and in Switzerland right now since 3 years. Let me say that young refugees, sometimes they finding themselves in other places without any choices, without access to education, without access to participation, without legal support or legal rights. And this is normal in every asylum and displacement context. But what refugee youth doing when they find themselves in these kind of challenges and trying to breaking barriers by themselves without any external supports? In Jordan, I just looked at myself and I just started to explore and think about what the next step should be if I still keeping this mindset about just waiting the opportunities to come to me. So that will not make any sense in terms of the long terms of time. I started to think about the challenges, the barriers that I face, but also not on my personal level, but also for others. So I started to think about how can I find access and establish access to other young people to participate in their communities and also to act as well, not only to participate. But here, let me just mention something important. Young people, it's great to be optimistic, but it's more important to be realistic about the challenges and barriers that we face. I founded the Youth for Peace Initiative as a response to my personal challenges that I faced and also to others. We started to talk with young people about what peace building means. And many answers at the beginning came as it's a peacekeeping, not peace building. And here I started to find these gaps clearly and trying to find ways to how these young people can be agents of change, not only beneficiaries and receivers of support. And here we started to promote global citizenship education. Why global citizenship education? Because young refugees, they don't have the ability to travel and to act with other different cultures. But we were able to bring this experience to them to show that the whole world is a small place when we understand it and we have a step to us to act and to be a part of it. After 3 years ago, I've landed in Geneva to join the Kofi Annan Changemakers program. And Corinne was aware about the reason that doesn't allow me to back to Jordan. And that's why I'm still here in Geneva, trying to shape also and contribute to the next and upcoming role of youth in the new Syria that we all aspire to see it better and more inclusive.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mohammed. And thank you for reminding us of the importance of global citizenship and how we are all, I believe, brothers and sisters. We are all one family on this planet. And we really feel for what you've been through, Mohammed, and thank you for your openness to share. I think one thing I'm personally looking forward to learning more about is the balance between optimism and realism and being realistic. I think that's something we're really going to dive into in our next segment. But before we do that, I'd like to pass it first to Nasrin. So similar question. I think you're going to come from a somewhat interestingly similar but also different perspective about talking about the realities that young people face and what young people are already doing to address these challenges. So over to you, Nasrin.
Thank you so much for the question. I will answer this question from different perspective. I am doing masters in information technology law, and I will talk about AI and digitalization. When we are talking about these realities, I think one of the biggest change is the speed of digitalization and the rise of artificial intelligence. We are living in a world where everything is digital right now. Technology changes how we live, how we work, how we learn, how we communicate, and even how we participate or adapt to a society. And in our generation, this is not something that will happen in the future. It's already in the present. And I see this as both opportunity and, of course, as challenge. Firstly, on the one hand, digital technology is giving us a lot of opportunities to connect, to learn. We are learning totally new skills. We can connect each other with another person or even another continent, talk about different solutions without being limited by geography. And I have seen how powerful it can be in a sense that since not every person can have access to traditional means, this digitalization can help them to connect with young people from different societies, different worlds, different experiences, and help them to build new skills. And I think this is also important when we are talking about SDGs and to achieve them, because we are already using these digital skills to develop solutions, to help and overcome all the challenges we are seeing around, from education to climate change issues. But in another hand, we should understand that digitalization can create new inequalities. Not all of us have access to the same tools. Not all of us have reliable information. And even most of us are missing the skills to use AI respectively. So I guess, and I think now we should understand that we should be more than consumers of AI and digital world. We should understand not only what can AI do, but also what should AI do, who benefits from it, who might be left behind, and in general, how we can overcome all the challenges we are seeing around. So I think use-led solutions are very important here. The priority should not be only how we can build up digital future. We should understand how we can understand this digitalization and shape our future perfect in this digital world. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazrin. I really, really like that we should not just be consumers of new technologies and AI, but co-designers of it, essentially. So thank you again, Nazrin. Now let's take another shift. Now this time to Oluwadamilola. Can you take us into one of your communities that you work with? Tell us what is happening and what you are doing. I know it's amazing, but please tell us about the work that needs to be done in your community.
Thank you so much, Ilan. To answer that question, I am going to tell the story of one of the most incredible people I work with. Her name is Fatima. Fatima is 24. She lives in Kuchingoro. Kuchingoro is a displacement camp in north-central Nigeria, for those who are conversant with the Nigerian landscape between the federal capital. So a very great place. But even within the Nigerian federal capital, there is an IDP there. Fatima has lived in Kuchingoro for the last 15 years. She lost her parents due to ethnic cleansing in the northern part of Nigeria. There's been a conflict going on there for as long as I've been alive. Fatima lives in a tent. She works with women. She takes classes with organizations that provide makeshift schools. Fatima has been in university for the past 10 years due to circumstances outside of our control. So she can't graduate BSc. She's 25 years old. She doesn't have a BSc. She doesn't have a passport. Our story shapes this kind of gathering, but she's not here. On the other side is me. I'm a feminist lawyer, so I have a degree. I'm licensed to practice law. I've worked in this space for the past 7 years. I run Project Rebirth, an organization that provides economic opportunities to people in those kind of spaces. But for me to come here, I had to battle with systemic inequality like visa, I was given 5 days. So it's basically I have to get out the moment this program ends. So if there is an opportunity for me to connect with other delegates, I can't. I have to get on a plane, else I'll be committing a crime that I know as a lawyer. And so the issues that young people face is inequality. And not just in the general tier of inequality, it's inequality faced by people specifically from regions classified as the Global South. Because a 25-year-old who is a European citizen and a 25-year-old who has a Cameroonian passport lives two different lives. Their access to education, their access to travel, their access to dignity of a human person is outrightly different. And so both of them will walk this life to different outputs, totally with different realities. And so these are the issues. These are the things that we face. In the community that I work with, gender inequality is a thing. We have young girls who sell their body to get food, who have to do outrageous things that I would not even give the dignity of saying for survival. And we gather to share their stories. So the inequality keeps them away. It tells them which kind of person's story is glamorous enough to be told. It tells us whose passport is strong enough to get on a flight, to get on a train, to come to places like this. And I am so grateful that there are so many young people who are doing the work, who are creating pockets of joy, even in this place of violence, of inequality, of injustice. I work to support young people in the community, providing economic opportunities. We provide microcredits. Last year, I was blessed enough to receive the AFS Youth Global Citizen Award that allows us to expand to 4 more communities. So we started with 2, and now we're at 8. And I'm so grateful to be able to do this work, but I also acknowledge my privilege to be able to do this work. The fact that I'm educated, the fact that I have a passport, the fact that I speak English. So these are the issues. And when we talk about what young people are going through in the spaces, I want us to also consider those young people who will never be here. Not because they're not good enough, not because they don't have a story to tell. The system is just designed in a way that they will just never be here. Their stories would never echo in this kind of halls. They would not walk through those doors. And we need to champion them as well. Because that could be me. I went to university on a scholarship that paid for just 2 people in Nigeria, a country of 200 million people. So it was a tough battle to get it. But I got it. But I also understand that I'm a success story. And I don't want us to just place the success story as the standard. We should also give spaces for people whose stories can change our reality and to allow them to shine, to allow them to prosper, to allow them to have the dignity of the human person that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your powerful work. Thank you for your powerful words. Thank you for addressing the privilege that we all have, even to be in this room right now. Thank you for bringing Fatima into this room as well. I'm sure that means so much. And I think we're just blessed to be able to do what we can do. And it connects back to what our previous speaker said in a previous panel, that once we do enter these spaces, once we do have these new privileges, it's important that once we enter that first door, we keep the door open for as many more young people as we can to help the communities that we can. So thank you again for those powerful words. I would now like to turn it over to the other side of our set of chairs, to Calum. And Calum, you mentioned that you are the president of the European Youth Forum. And I think there's a lot of interesting data and experiences I think that we can also look at a different perspective for. So I will pass the floor over to you, Calum.
Thank you very much. And what an incredible panel. Am I right? Can we hear it one more time for that? That was absolutely phenomenal. From my side, I grew up in rural Limerick, which is a beautiful part of Ireland. It's the best place in Ireland, actually, if you haven't been there before. And I joined my local scout group when I was about 8. On a Monday evening, we used to have football on one side and scouts on the other, and I went in the wrong side of the door one week, and I ended up speaking in the UN in front of you today. So what that showed me in those community halls that I ended up getting into was that young people were shaping their own spaces, they were learning from each other, and they were learning to lead from a time when I'd never seen someone my age lead. So that's why on this question I think I pivot a bit more than from young people showing up to how the systems actually engage us and create space. So in terms of the realities that I see, first of all, precarity is defining our generation right across Europe anyway, where we're locked out of housing, that there's precarious employment, there's unpaid internships still around, that public transport is inaccessible, that what it means to build a life as a young person today means that you're part of the first generation in the history of most states in Europe where you're worse off than your parents. And this is only exacerbated even further in LDCs, LLDCs and SIDS, particularly when we look at from the angle of climate resilience and climate justice. And those are points that I could list out a world of statistics, but I think every report points us to, but that young people themselves are experiencing right across the continent. I think that the second challenge that couples with this is, I'm not going to say the shrinking of civic space, I'm going to say that in many contexts civic space has already shrunk. That democratic actors and young people standing up and using their voices are not only sidelined or tokenized, but are often criminalized. And they're very much hindered, particularly their organizations too, when we look at human rights defenders. And what we need to look at here is that youth organizations are this form of democratic infrastructure, and that when they're stripped away, that young people lose that fundamental source of support and drive at a local all the way up to a global level. And then finally, it's what I think the discussion of the next few days will be about. It's this fundamental gap between representation and meaningful participation, this gap between being consulted and being heard, how participation turns into power. But what is being the response? As you said it, from my position as president of the Youth Forum, young people aren't waiting in no way, shape or form. They're leading, they're organising on a local level, they're advocating to national governments, they're building solutions at European and international levels, and I know that every young person in this room has some sort of action like that. But as I was walking in today, I saw two people that I particularly noted. If I could get a hands up, is Nina there somewhere? We've got Nina just there. And do we have Al Hassan somewhere over here too? We've got him over there, someone who has led the fight for human rights, for democracy, for rule of law at a European level, and a gentleman over there, Al Hassan, who has driven forward a movement that reaches every local community across this world. So two incredible people that I hope you'll get to meet over the next few days. So what I can see is that young people are leading. We have all the examples of it, but that what the prerequisite to that is that our democratic infrastructure, which are youth organizations, are fundamentally being challenged. In terms of the theme of today, which is around different contexts and common aspirations, I think I'll take some inspiration from the speakers before and maybe pivot a bit on this common aspirations, this sense of common barriers too. That while it's not equitable in any way, shape or form, that young people right across the world are facing participation barriers, they're facing attacks on their rights, but also at the same time, they're being constantly told that their moment is coming. But I think from what we're seeing in every social movement right across the world at this very moment, that young people are tired of waiting and the moment has well and truly already arrived.
Thank you, Caleb, and thank you for reminding us, but we already know, that young people are definitely not waiting. Young people are already pushing back. Young people are organizing. Young people are creating change. And you have actually asked our next question, which we will save it in just a second. We just want to hear from Max, but that is an excellent point that we are about to dive into when it comes to the systems and infrastructures that will finally allow young people to flourish. But first, let's wrap up with Max. Max, you mentioned that I think you were eager to talk a little bit about young people's connections to entrepreneurship and how important it is, and I will not take the words from you. But Max, for you, what are the realities that young people are facing, and what are young people already doing to address them? Over to you.
Thank you, Ilan, and thank you all the panelists for setting the stage. It becomes difficult to speak on these issues at last, but I'll try my best. Now, we have heard from various speakers from morning until now, reiterating more or less the same thing, but I will try to give some context, the scale of the problem. One of the challenges that young people from Uganda, but also from developing countries, or the so-called global south in general, and now the problem is even spreading to the global north, is the issue of youth unemployment. That the companies and organizations are asking for young people to have experience, but the young people do not have the experience. So we are in this vacuum that young people cannot transition from education to employment, and employers are asking for skills that young people have not got, or at the worst, the experience. Now, let us zoom into Uganda. Of course, you have already heard this over and over that Africa is one of the youngest continents in terms of the demographic, but Uganda is one of the youngest countries in Africa. 77% of the population is under the age of 35. I mean, 77%. And it sounds, from the surface as, of course, that is beautiful. That is a resource, that is resourceful. But when you look at how we are preparing this 77% of the youngsters, hear this out. Over 51% of young people between the age of 18 and 35 are not either in education, employment, or training. Did you hear that right? That is the scale of the challenge on the ground, or the scale of the problem of youth unemployment we are having. So it's not only that they are not able to secure a job, they are also not able to have training to gain the skills, or to be in any employment to have the experience required to finally be part of the labor force. And so I think this is the problem that we see, and also confirmed by the recent statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics from Uganda, but also globally, we have statistics from youth unemployment rising. So I think this is something we need to pay attention to, that how can we bring people who are not in education, employment, or training back to the table, because these are the people who are losing their future income. They are losing opportunity to build experience, opportunity to build skills that are required, and how longer they stay out of this employment, education, or training, how less the chances, how much the society is losing, and how much the young people are also losing on individual level. So this is something that I see also with the young people that we work with, but also the statistics confirm it. And today, the conversation today has also highlighted that it's a priority worldwide to make sure that we create opportunities for young people, not only to get a quality education, but to transition from education to employment, to create experience that the employers are demanding or asking for, which are matching the current needs of the companies and the organizations. And I think I will touch on the second issue, which interestingly has not been touched on today, which is equally connected to all the challenges we have been discussing today, especially in the context of the Global South, which is the issue of governance. And I will specifically point out one of the weak governance challenges that is entrenched in all other problems, that has created other problems we are hearing today. And this is the issue of corruption. Corruption sounds, of course, from the word that, yeah, this is basically probably the misuse of funds by public officials or lack of opportunities. But when you hear stories from all who said today about the issue of inequality in travel, why are some passports stronger than others? This is because the corruption is creating lack of trust, not only for the people, for the institutions, but countries on each other. So you see that the lack of trust of countries on other countries rank their passport index low, or lending to these countries goes low because of the perception worldwide about the nature of the strength of institutions, and which corruption instrumentally weakens these institutions. So I think we need to pay attention to how we can address the issue of corruption, that we are able to address all other issues. And I would like to close with a story, because today I'm also really motivated to have the story mode. What this means. One story has already been highlighted by Olu about the issue of her passport. Just 2 months ago, that was in June, one of the human rights activists called Agatha from Uganda traveled to Europe for a conference, and she was on her way back to Uganda. She was intercepted at Schiphol Airport in Netherlands because authorities did not because she didn't have the paperwork or she didn't have the return flight. But the issue was even fundamentally connected to the lack of trust in the institutions. The authorities simply did not believe in her passport was legitimate, despite the fact that she had traveled for a half of her passport before. They thought she obtained it fraudulently, so she was intercepted and made to wait until she missed her connecting flight back to Uganda, and she had to travel the day after on another flight. And so only to say that now the issue has not only been the problem of corruption affecting your life at home, it's now following you with your passport to wherever you go, whether you renew a work permit, whether you get your papers approved to study in an international university, because there is lack of trust on the credibility of your credentials on the ground, whether you get a job in, let's say, international organizations, because there is lack of trust if your experience is even what you say it is, since the statistics show the scale and the gravity of the problem. So I think I will highlight these two for now to supplement what all other speakers have said, because I observe the same things. But I think these two are all interconnected with all what have been said. I think when we work on them, we will surely see a fairer world and opportunities manifest for young people, and of course the other population demographics around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Max. And it's clear that I think many of us in this room, and also those joining through the live stream, really value all of the words that you have all shared. I even can see that we have a fellow young person from Sri Lanka, in Sandy, who can feel the positive energy vibrating in the room because of these words that you've been sharing. And even a special shout out to Olu from Saudi Arabia about Project Rebirth, who was very impressed with your work. And as we look at these reactions and questions, I would start to proceed to our question and answer portion. And it's actually perfect because one of the questions we've received through our Mentimeter is one of the questions we wanted to make sure we asked to all of you. We're going to do this in a bit of a lightning round version, if that's okay. I hope I can give you this challenge, my fellow panelists. And if it's all right, we challenge you to answer in one sentence. And I know it's going to be tough, but please keep in mind, we want to give the floor to someone also in this room. So a quick lightning round question. As we already know, young people are leading the way. We already know that young people are doing so much today. And maybe it's not so much the question of do we need to empower young people? They are very much empowered. It's more of the question of do we need to shift and adjust the systems the infrastructure, the governance, the funding mechanisms to ensure that young people solutions are scaled, that young people truly thrive and flourish in our society. So this question, we shift more to governments, to UN agencies, to funders, to banks, to even civil society and private sector. So in one sentence, I hope it's okay. In one sentence, may I ask you for one specific concrete suggestion, recommendation to these entities, these institutions, when it comes to reforming, transforming our systems and infrastructure to better support young people and youth issues. So choose wisely of one sentence. So if it's all right, we'll work our way. Yeah, let's go left to right. Let's keep it simple. Yep. So over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. My call to action, as the case may be, would be that for institutions, we cannot continue to uphold the systems of inequality and ask young people to carry the responsibility to change it. It's not going to work. So let's do better. Let this International Youth Day be the one where the difference is visible and the difference is clear. Thank you.
Yeah, I think institutions and decision makers and stakeholders, they must change fundamental thing, very important fundamental thing. Moving beyond designing solutions for young people, but designing solutions with young people. As we see today, young people, all of us now celebrating, but my message also to many attendees here, like not leaving this hall with these discussions that we had today only, we're having today only, but keep this mentality as usual, always to learn from others, to learn from other experiences, different contexts, because this will be the greater motivation, will stay with us in every single step.
As young people, we always want to be part of decision making, but most of the time, we should admit that sometimes we are just given microphone to share our ideas, but how institutions let us implement our ideas into the future. So please do not give us only the microphone to speak up. Please let us to use our ideas, to implement it, and to shape our future with these brilliant, open-minded people.
Thank you. And talking about giving us opportunities to shape our ideas, I will probably address the elephant in the room. Give us the money. They say that if it's not in the budget, it's not priority. So prioritize youth engagement by allocating financing to it, financing to education, for more peace and security, which is there urgently needed today, but also financing for infrastructure like electricity and internet because of the new digital era that all people from around the world are able to enjoy this revolution and join the benefit from it. But that all goes back to if we have enough money and infrastructure to have all this technology enabling environment to be able to be used. Thank you.
This is a tough one to go last on. I agree with you. Budgets are the most political decision that a government will make. And the second part I'll add on to that is that access and recognition of youth rights is not the same as enshrining youth rights and following up on it. So invest and defend our futures.
All right. I know our time is almost up, but I will try to use this power that I have on the microphone to buy us some time. So if there's anyone who wants to raise their hand right now to ask a question, please let us know, and we will choose it hurts, 2 people. And I just want to remind everyone that if you have any specific questions, you're welcome to come to our speakers after the session. But I would like to, I'll go with 3 questions. Okay, 1 on each side. So if we get 1 here, I see you. 1 over here, a very emphatic hand, yes, over here. And we can also get 1 on the other side. I see a lot of red that was moving, so I will, yes, that worked out. All right, so as a reminder for our questions, again, this is not a speech, so kindly use this moment to please ask a specific question. Again, about 30 seconds if possible. Kindly, to ask your question, take a seat and switch on the microphone that is in front of you on the table. Yes. So kindly introduce yourself, and if you want to address the question to someone specific, please feel free. So over to our colleague here. Yes, go ahead.
Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a bit weird angle, not my best angle, okay? Hello everyone, my name is Gian Margianta. I'm from Indonesia. I'm a young health program scholar via AstraZeneca. My question will be very simple. All of you here are great youth change makers, but from my personal experience and many other people in this room, we do have our moments when we struggle. We have burnouts. And mental health for change makers is as important as our causes that we are fighting for. As a person who had experienced trauma and being tear gassed and being terrorized, what's your input for us to actually bridge that gap between how much we put ourselves out there for our cause and how much we try to re-empower ourselves in private, especially with our mental health conditions? And how do we convince people who work with us, the partners, the people who support us, governments, to understand that it's not always about the results, but it's also about the process and the well-being of young change makers, all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Great question.
Hey, it's working, right? Thank you, Alan. So thank you for this amazing panel discussion. To be honest, I wrote it down like this question here like 20 minutes ago before to ask your question, because I have the exact questions, which is, what if the biggest challenge facing young people like us is not that the lack like opportunity, but the system creating our future were designed without us? So thank you for answering this question. And I want to just to say one quick comment. As I said, as you like always, please don't like talk about us as a youth without us. And thank you for AFS for doing this amazing youth assembly every year, because you are giving us as a like young leaders, as a youth, the floor to talk about our challenge. So thank you.
My name is Iñaki Morón, and I came from Salta province in north of Argentina. My question is regarded to the future. We can think in a path for the future that includes intergenerations dialogues between young people and people who are not young anymore, to be the present and think in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of your questions. Excellent questions, by the way. I think the way we're going to do this, if it's all right with our panelists, is again a bit of a lightning round, as we are a bit low on time. And this can also be your last words for this session and for this celebration. So I guess in one sentence, if possible, what's your message that might address one of these questions, or any sort of closing statement? Again, if you can keep it to one sentence, that would be excellent. And we'll go from right to left this time, and we'll start off with Caleb. So Caleb, to you first.
On the question over here, support the people who've supported you twofold and celebrate them and empower them at every single step you can get. And on the intergenerational piece, it's absolutely fundamental. There's going to be a day when we're 50 and 60 and young people are going to be knocking on our doors, and we don't want to make the same mistakes the policymakers have made today. So that's a commitment from all of us here, I think.
I will respond to only one question because of time, which was from over there about mental health. I think one of what I consider to be one of the magic formulas of working around mental health is this. You have to, as young people, of course, we are ambitious, we are building careers, and we are all over the place trying an error, what we like and what we want to do and what we want to become. And one of the powerful tools for you to save yourself from a lot of, or at least minimize the risks of getting into mental health challenges is do what you love, or perhaps turn that statement the other way around. If you love what you do. So either do what you love or love what you do, because it's only that way that it's able to feed you energy instead of draining the energy out of you. So that is something you have to keep running in your mind, that whenever it's not possible for you to do what you love, try at least to love what you do, so that it is less taking the energy from you. And I think with that, you will reduce dramatically the issue. I would like to close with my closing remark with the, again, storytelling. I've been inspired today, really, by telling a story, and I think it befits this occasion beautifully. I got off the call with one of my staff members that works for the foundation I co-founded in Uganda, Northern Foundation, a few days ago. And I think I would do a disservice not to give you this also to go with as you carry along the journey of this youth assembly, but also after. So we discussed about how we used our situations, our experiences, our advantages to get opportunities and to get to where we are, which is beautiful. And we have already heard from panelists how this is transformative. But he challenged me and told me that, listen, I am in a very difficult position now because we are now growing into adulthood, from youthhood to adulthood, and so we are now the ones building the things. So we used to have this excuse when we're growing up that you can always have an excuse that I come from a poor background, I come from this conflict zone, I come from this and that, which is legitimate, but time reaches where you have now gotten platforms, opportunities, options, and possibilities, that the question flips, that you are no longer coming from the poor background. You are the background. Because you have now to build something that makes sure that the generation that come after us, your children, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, will inherit. So what are we going to build from today that will not make our children or those that come after us to say that we come from this kind of background, we come from a conflict zone. We have to put a stop to this by using opportunities we have around us, the possibilities, the skills, the networks, the resources, the location advantage, the passport advantage, to be able to build systems that people that are coming after us, either our children or those younger than us who are not youth today, that when they come to these platforms or are growing up, they have an environment which is not disadvantaging them, but instead providing them a playing ground, a level playing ground for success for themselves, but also for building societies and the world we all desire today to have. So as we go home, make sure that each one of us takes an individual action, because individual action eventually creates collective action, or collective inaction. Equal important. When you do nothing and everybody does nothing, nothing happens. And this collective action or inaction either creates a good society or does not create anything at all. Thank you.
to answer the question came from there and also kind of connected to the question here. I have been there once. I had very bad burnout. And I think the most important thing is here that firstly, we understand and we are aware that it's burnout. It's not something that we are lazy. It's not something that we are tired. It can happen. And we should understand it. We should understand ourselves and understand that we need to take some time for ourselves. We study, we work, we do a lot of things together, all together. And sometimes we think that, oh, we are young, we have a lot of energy, we can do everything at the same time. No, sometimes we cannot. So I suggest all of you to take time for yourself, put priority to understand yourself first. And usually now, when we are talking about burning out, I have heard a lot of time from old people that it's kind of excuse that we are making now not to work. I believe most of us heard it. And I think now this is the most important issue right now, also connected to the question here, that all generations sometimes don't understand us, that we can really burn out. And I think here we need to explain ourselves, firstly, and understand ourselves. And also, just to finish my speech, is that we need to support each other. Whatever happens, doesn't matter what kind of backgrounds we have, which nationality we come from, we need to support each other. Let's support each other, lift each other up, and make sure that when we move forward, we create paths for others to move forward with us. Because we are a big family all together, and my success is your success, and your success is my success. Thank you.
Regarding the first question and the question, just let me say that I think the main reason of asking this question about mental health, I think it comes from clear understanding about a problem or a challenge or a crisis that's happening in your community. But this is a great indicator for you, because I think you're going to be the next Indonesian change maker regarding saving people from mental health sufferings and challenges. And regarding making change by young people, let's think about something really important. As we are celebrating today the International Youth Day, we need also to work with others. We need also the support from others, from those who are older than us, because they were youth someday, and we will not stay youth forever. That's why intergenerational dialogue is important. We need these experiences. We appreciate these experiences, because without them, we cannot understand the previous eras and the previous challenges, so we can solve the upcoming challenges and problems together, hand by hand. Let me also indicate something really important also. We don't need, as young people, symbolic seats today at the table, but we need the ability to influence what happens at the table. Let me end with something also regarding my existence here in Geneva. I arrived in Geneva 3 years ago as everyone in this room, to join this event, but to join another one at that time. But I was unable, like in some moments, refugees, just in 1 second, everything changes. You have to start a new life, new friends, new home, new language, new challenges. And that's taught me a very important thing. Sometimes we find ourselves without choices, but sometimes these barriers and challenges makes us more strong and more resilient. And final message to everyone here joining us today and celebrating the International Youth Day. As once Kofi Annan said, whatever the challenges that you face and wherever you are, just go out and break them and do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was amazing. To end this panel, I'm going to end with a quote from my favorite feminist writer, Audre Lorde. It says, "Taking care of myself is not indulgence in frivolities. It is an act of political warfare." And I live by this quote because we live in a capitalist system that takes and takes and takes, especially from young people. Some of our work is not rewarded. Some of this work is not even recognized. But we must also remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So if you're serving in your community, if you're serving in your society, you have a responsibility of taking care of yourself, because you can only show up strongly when you're powerful in your own self. You can only show up powerfully when you're filled in your own being. So take that break. It may feel like, oh, there's so much work to do. Take that break. It's very important to take that break. And as to intergenerational leadership, I believe so much that young people just have to take the space. Waiting for approval, waiting for invitations to come to those tables will probably not come. And someday we'll wake up and we realize we are the old people now. So start the action from your community and watch it grow. Because when it grows, the resources will come over time. The recognitions will come. And the tables that we so much long to be, we would have created the table even without knowing it. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, and this goes to everyone in the room and our panelists. Can we give everyone in this room and everyone on the live stream a big round of applause? Before I turn it over for final closing from Yumna, I would like to invite everyone to end on a very positive and collective note. If you have someone beside you, could you grab their hand with consent, if it's okay? Yes, we're in this together. All right. Please put your hands up, up. Yep, there we go. All together, we're going to say this together. Hopefully you can hear me. So, the first statement, please repeat after me. We are not waiting for change to happen. Next up, we are ready to be the change. We are the hope for the future. Happy International Youth Day. Thank you, everyone. And I now formally turn it over to Yumna for our closing.
Okay. So as we come to a close to today's celebration, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for your presence, your voices, and your commitment to building a better future. We heard many problems, but we also saw through each of you, our youth speakers, all the viable solutions that we have in the room. We have heard powerful perspectives and inspiring examples of young people turning ideas into action, from localizing the SDGs and using technology to create new opportunities to building partnerships, strengthening communities and finding innovative solutions to the challenges we face. And these conversations have brought us back to the message at the heart of today's International Youth Day theme: different contexts, common aspirations. Young people may have come from different countries, communities, cultures, and circumstances. But across these differences, we share so many aspirations that are very similar: for opportunity, for dignity, peace, inclusion, meaningful participation, and a sustainable future. Our challenge now is to make sure that these common aspirations are met with common commitment and collective action. Young people should not have to wait for the future to have a voice in shaping it. They are already leading, as you saw amongst our panelists, through their ideas, their innovation, their partnerships, and their determination to create change in their communities and around the world. So as we leave today, let us carry this theme with us. Let us recognize our differences, but also build on what unites us. Let us invest in young people, create spaces for their voices, and ensure that every young person, regardless of their context, has the opportunity, resources, and support to turn their aspirations into reality. Thank you all to our distinguished speakers, youth leaders, delegates, partners, and everyone joining us from around the world, both here in Geneva and online. And thank you for the energy, your ideas, and your commitment to shaping a better future. Different contexts, common aspirations, let's reimagine a future for all. And with that, I'd like to invite all of you to stand up. Just for a moment, let's stand up. So turn to the person next to you and let's repeat this together, okay? Everyone has a partner? All right, so happy International Youth Day. Let's repeat that. Happy International Youth Day. And have a good rest of your evening, everyone. Thank you so much.